you guys are gonna work on sit, down, come, and stay. The first thing we're gonna start with is timing. And these are just obviously novice tricks, and then we'll move up to a little more advanced one with the stay. But I want you guys to focus on your clicker and your timing, because when you're doing tricks, if you click a little bit late or you click a little bit early, you can mess up the whole trick. So if you're not clicker savvy, you gotta get there. Or you gotta be really good on your yes words. So with this one, I want you guys to watch. Sit. The second his rear end hits the floor. So I want him to know exactly what he's getting rewarded for. So down. The second his belly hit the floor. So I really want you guys to focus on the timing. If I were to say down and then click it, it might elongate the down. Like if I, down and then I wait a second and then click it, it might elongate the down. And so that's how you could make the down stay, him stay down there longer and longer. But you want to, at the beginning, whenever you're really teaching him, at which most of these dogs probably know how to lay down, I want to make sure that it's when their belly hits the ground. For those of you that don't know, their dogs don't know down, it's be real slow and real simple with it. Treat in front of their nose, down to the floor, and then click when their belly hits the floor. Now some dogs you have to go towards their chest, and some dogs you have to come out just a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean an inch or two. You usually don't have to, think of a T. So you're going nose down to the ground, and then maybe a little bit that way, or maybe a little bit this way. So when you're teaching down, the timing of the clicker is when their belly hits the ground. Now, we can adjust that a little for dogs that are having trouble laying down. You can click approximations as they just squat just a little bit. And then, so some dogs that are real fearful and have a hard time laying down, I might click 6 times, and then they may not even make it to the ground. They just lean down a little bit. So I clicked it as they got there. So think about that timing of your clicker. The other thing that we're gonna work on is come, and typically this one goes against my brain. With come, a lot of times I won't have the dog in a stay, so it would be really cool to have your dog, somebody holding your dog's leash and you calling them. But with the tricks, they do it a little bit different. They want the dog, to stay and then come from a few feet away. So, and we'll have to double check that, but I think it's 10 feet away, or 6 feet, one or the other. But, so they actually have to have a stay and you're calling them out of it. So stay. And so I clicked his movement towards me, if you were wondering about the timing on that clicker. Come means walk towards me. And you can use whatever words you want to use for that, to get them to come to you. And then, so if you still have to teach your dog to stay, you're going to have to go back through our stay videos on YouTube and start working on getting just a little bit of a stay. Can you tell them to stay and move your foot? Can you tell them to stay and turn in a circle? And they'll stay in their spot. If you need help coaching with the stays, like I said, there's a stay video on YouTube, and if you need more than that, just message on here, and I will send you, I'll put the video on here so you guys can get to it really easy, or if you need more coaching than that, we can do that as well. The other way that they have you do stay is 10 feet away for 6 seconds. So stay. That's about as far as I can go. So we'll pretend that's 10 feet, and I'm going to wait 6 seconds, and then I'm going to come back to my dog. Good boy. So with the novice, again, you can use treats, not to lure, but you can use treats after they do the thing. You do have 50% on that, so if you need to lure to get them to do a trick, you can still do that with novice, but again, that changes as you move up the ranks with the titles. Okay, now we're going to talk about cue, action, reward. And so I want you guys to look at your homework. Cue, action, reward. If you cue it and they do it, then they get their treat. If you cue it and they don't do it, don't give them a treat because they're cute. So we're going to do pause up for this one. And what we're going to do is you guys can pull a chair out. If you've got a chair, not by the kitchen table, because we don't want to start kitchen table jumping. But stick the treat in front of their face. Maybe put a treat on the table so they can see what the chair feels like. Yes, and so the timing of your clicker would be whenever their front feet touch, and then off, good boy. So I'm going to lure him up. You see the timing of my clicker when his front feet came up. So this is pause. And pause up is something that we're going to use to turn into a bunch of different tricks. So get them comfortable on a chair, on a footstool, when you guys are out on a walk, on rocks. I know we can't use like kids' playgrounds and stuff now, but find things naturally like logs and stuff like that and see if you can't get them to do pause up. This trick is spin. And what we're going to do is teach our dogs to turn in a circle. So you'll start with the treat in front of them, and you want them standing up, which is hard because some of us, we've really taught our dogs to sit, so they want to do it. So you want to pull them forward and get them standing, and then you want to go around in a circle and then treat them. Now, some dogs will have a hard time luring after the treat, so you may have to treat them, click and treat them multiple times just for moving after the treat. Then eventually, get them to spin and twist. Ooh. And twist. Good. So it's hard for him because we're going back, because at the end you want it to be on cue. Spin. Yes. And twist. This way. Come here. Twist. Yes. Good boy. Good job. Okay, so one side's going to be easier for them. So pick your one side that's easier and work on that and get them good at that, and then start working on the other side. And what you want to do is work on that harder side twice as much as the easy side, especially if you're wanting to get into agility, because your dogs have to be able to turn both ways. So now we're going to do the spin on a pedestal, and I know some of you guys don't have a pedestal at home and some of you do. If you don't, you can get a piece of wood from the backyard that maybe is 3 foot by 3 foot, or 2 foot by 2 foot, and see if you can get them to spin, or if you've got an ottoman, or on the couch, if you don't mind that your dogs are on the couch. The goal is to get them to spin tighter, and it's also a platform that's up higher, so it's a little bit harder. Now for some dogs, like Justice, the spin was really hard to learn on the floor, so Lisa recommended that I start it on the pedestal, and that made it work a lot better because he knows his way around a pedestal, and he was comfortable with that. So he was like, oh yay, I get to be on the pedestal. And then I incorporated that spin, and he couldn't run out and like watch my finger and go out too far. He stayed on the pedestal because he likes the pedestal and he knows how to work on it. So I was actually able to teach him a spin a lot easier on the pedestal. And again, I know you guys don't all have a pedestal at home, but find a piece of wood or put them on a couch or an ottoman or something that feels different than the carpet. You can try a rug maybe on linoleum and see if you can spin them just and let them stay on that rug.